All right, Ripa, Dan.
Don't sniff creatine.
Glorious Death. Freaking insane, awesome song. Great
Thanks, man.
workout material.
Yeah.
It's great workout material, man. I pull it up and dude, I'll just put it on repeat and I'll just keep it going for the entire workout. It's fucking awesome.
Hell yeah, man. Working out, going to failure, like the benching and the bar threatening to kill you. It's going to be like, it's going to be glorious.
That's a glorious death.
I have a question on when you guys sat down and you kind of started the creative process, did you already have like an idea of what direction you wanted to go, or like what kind of sent you towards this Viking-esque glorious death idea?
That started with Ripa.
Yeah, I kind of set Dan up with that, but he was the one that did like a lot of the lifting on bringing that all together, right? So I just came up with the concept because that matches the characters, right? You have this sort of one character that's based on more Norse kind of inspired more mythology. You have one based more on African mythology, and they've joined forces as part of this metal band. And in the universe, obviously they're very much unique individuals. Not just because they're in a band, right, together, technically like these gods, like or god-like beings in a band, but just because again they're culturally, there's some similarities, but there's also major differences. So I just kind of let Dan know of that, like kind of what I was thinking with the band itself and with those two main characters. And I didn't know how we were going to pull it off, but I was like, hey, this is what I'm thinking in terms of idea. But Dan was able to, again, do it like properly. You have that bass kind of metal sound, but it mixes obviously that sort of Viking metal with the wind instruments kind of in the drums that are more influential in terms of like the African side of things. And he just absolutely nails it. It has some of the core elements in there as well. So big shout out to Dan for able to really bring that together, man. So yeah.
So what I got Dan did work on the song, because I heard from another popular YouTuber that Dan wasn't actually on this.
This other popular YouTuber is full of shit. No, but yeah, what I got from what Ripa sent me, all the context and all the concepts. And the ISOM 1 panels that he showed me, reading those panels, like a war we were not supposed to win. If I should die tonight, I'll kill every demon that stands in my sight. I thought, this is a song about a battle that you're losing.
Yeah.
This is a song about your impending death and knowing that this is gonna happen and still being willing to fuck up everyone that stands in your way. I'm going to die, and I'm going to take all of you motherfuckers with me. That's what I got from that, and I expanded from that idea. The first thing I thought about was like the Klingons on Star Trek, like, I want to die a glorious death. So
and it's very much like the Manowar song. What's that Manowar song called, Dan?
Die with Honor.
Die with Honor. Yes.
I love those
very
themes,
similar
man.
Concept.
Yeah, I love those themes of dying with honor, like knowing that you're gonna lose, but still willing to go there and make your best.
This is exactly the moment that I saved for Bromance of History today.
Perfect. We'll get to it. We'll get to it in a little bit. I got a few more questions for Eric and for Dan. So I got a few questions. Was this song always going to be tied to NORFRICA?
Yeah, that was the whole point. We had floated the idea around because everybody knew we're both metal guys, so everybody knew that the collaboration was inevitable, and we talked about kind of maybe starting with a cover, and we floated that idea around. But yeah, we ended up doing NORFRICA, so it was something like it. That was a completely original project.
I'm glad we didn't do a cover.
Same. I'm glad we started with original, because now obviously the doors are wide open for anything else that we want to do, be it as NORFRICA or as just both of ourselves. But yeah, that was the song itself was always going to be. It was specifically made with that in mind. I think that's why it came out the way that it did and so well, because that there was already a concept and it was a very cohesive project in general. So it worked out. There was intent in the actual song, from the lyrics to the actual music. in the song, how we both go back and forth. Everything was done with purpose, and I think that's why it worked out so well. But yeah, we did float around. It wouldn't have been obviously the song, but we did float around doing a cover first. But we did end up starting for our first collaboration original project, and I think that was the move. That was 100%.
Yeah. I think we mentioned Manowar. We were thinking of doing a Manowar cover together, which we are still going to do. Ripper is going to participate on the Manowar tribute.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Excited
So when it came to writing the lyrics, was it 50-50? Was it mostly Eric or mostly Dan?
No,
how that
everybody
worked
wrote
out?
their own parts, except that obviously we had the lyrics that were in the as the bass, right? That were in I Some One, right? As NORFRICA is singing the song. Right. So that kind of obviously popped everything off. But the rest, Dan wrote his parts. I then laid down my part. So yeah, that was
true collaboration.
Yeah, it was a true collaborative effort lyrically, and
forth,
it was a back and forth. It was very much competitive in that sense. I know I've told this story before, in the sense that, look, man, I went into it with a different idea.
I showed him my vocals first.
Yeah.
I showed Rippa the structure of the song in terms of guitars, drums, and vocals.
Yep.
So he got my vocals first.
Yep. So I got that, and I was like, man, I went into it. And that's what we had floated around, that I was going to do more of like the gutturals, like screaming and doing that in the verses. But as I'm hearing that, especially once I got in the studio, I was like, nah, I don't know if that causes for that. So I'm going to sing it. And I did a couple of different takes before I actually landed where I was at, keeping in mind that I'm not singing as myself. I'm singing as this other character.
We're acting with our singer.
We're acting essentially. So I first sang it. It was really clean. It was it wasn't like it was really emphasizing on the vibrato. I probably overemphasized it on it. And then I was like, I don't know how to. I'm not sure I like that. And then I tried to get to where I was kind of in the middle, right, where it was like it was aggressive, but it was still like it wasn't like just a straight up scream. And that way, once I did get to my more like, scream stuff, which people like, that's what they really know me for, especially with some of the stuff I do with backwards. We made that hit at an appropriate time. So it would only hit at the end of the verse. It only hit definitely at that breakdown part instead of doing the entire verse like that. And again, that came from hearing Dan, and I'm like, fuck, I can't be showing up in this damn song. I got to get out there and go be great too. So this is why I keep saying that it was my favorite collaboration, because I did believe that it brought the best out of me collaborating with someone as talented as Dan, man. So I had a lot of fun with that.
Thanks.
Hell yeah. And you guys are. Oh yeah,
sorry. I was just gonna say, I was curious because I played music for years and playing with people. I know Dan is used to doing it digitally, guitar, and I sing and stuff. I did it for a long time. Not this type of music, but yeah, I've played a lot of different stuff over the years. But I've never collaborated digitally like this. Is it hard? I mean, I can't imagine, because we'd have like sessions where we'd write together as bands and whatever. Everybody'd sit down and you'd, just ping off each other. But doing it digitally is a totally different thing.
See, Rippa, what I told you about?
Yeah, we talked about this. Yeah,
most people do it like that. Like a lot of bands write together, like in the same room in a jam session. I always never really liked that. I always enjoy writing separately my parts, and then when I'm done, I show like my brother, for example, is my main songwriting partner, and then when I'm done, I show my brother what I did. Then he would critique it, change whatever, suggest any changes and add his parts to it. So it was the same thing I did with Rippa, something that I was already comfortable with doing. So for me, it came very natural.
Yeah, I feel like it keeps you a little more you when you're doing it by yourself.
Absolutely. To me, writing songs is very private. And I get the people who don't like that. They like to write together as a group. But it's just not for me.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, and look, it helps when you, like Dan and I are, again, obviously being from different countries, but we share a lot of similarities, right? And when you have that kind of synergy that's there, it makes a collaboration like this work so well, so you can come up with something, even though it's like he's doing his part, I'm doing my part. And sure, as we're submitting each other's work, if we need to adjust something or redo, we can do it there, and we can make some adjustments, but we're trusting each other to do their parts in the most effective way that they know how. But also, the other gets the other. Like I heard him on his verses, and I'm like, okay, I know how I need to come on this record, following Dan, considering where the song's going and also where he left off with his vocals. So it helps when you're on the same page. And that doesn't happen all the time with musicians, man. Definitely a lot.
Right.
Now you wind up with J.J. Abrams and what's the other guy, Ryan Johnson, where they don't complement each other, and then you wind up with a jumbo product.
Example. That's a great example. Like they're not complementing each other; they're competing with each other, and the product suffers because of it.
We used to play with a drummer that played a totally different style of music, and he would come in and sub in our band sometimes, and he would get bored with the type of music we would play, and literally we'd be live and he would just start doing like drum solos and stuff just to screw with us and see how the band would pivot. But it's so hard to play with people like that just aren't on the same page, man. But that's cool that y'all could do that at two totally different locations and make it work. It worked out great. So great job, guys.
Thanks, man.
I'm probably the least musically inclined person here, so I'm not sure how everything works for when you're creating a brand new original song. What came first? Were the lyrics and you guys writing the lyrics, or was it, the like the rhythm and the beat to the song and the instruments? Like, how'd you guys piece together the lyrics and then how you wanted the song to sound with the instruments and everything? Like, what was the process on that?
Well, I'll tell you where it started. It was obviously I created a band. I had the general concept, again, maybe subconsciously making this with Dan in mind. And then I pitched this idea to Dan, and I kind of threw I threw influences at him. I threw all this shit. It's all over the place, right? And I'm like, okay, can we find a happy medium where it takes all these concepts into consideration? This is before, again, the only lyrics that we had up to that point were the lyrics that were in the book. That was it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he came
no music for them.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Just the words.
Just the words. That's all we had. So Dan starts to, again, appreciate him on how he just handles his craft, right? In that he comes up with the concepts as far as the general layout of the song, and then I get it, right? And then that's when I start to, as far as lyrically, start to fill in everything, right? But one thing that I learned, because my recording process may be a little different from Dan, because definitely he's recording himself. I do that a lot. Like definitely when I used to do my covers a lot, I used to record everything myself. I have an engineer that I work with, our engineer for Backwards, and that's who I recorded this song with. So
it was your band Backwards who did the instruments for this song.
No. Dan did it. Dan did the instruments.
Oh, Dan did it. Okay.
Well, no, take that back. He did the actual general layout. He also mixed it, but we had a guitarist obviously actually play the guitar.
Garrett J. Peters has been working with me for a long time. I sent him a mock-up of the guitars on keyboards with the arrangements that I wanted, and he simply reproduced that on a real guitar.
Awesome.
Fantastic guitarist. But with me, there's always that dichotomy: lyrics or music. What's more important? One must come first. I always tend to go for the message. I tend to implement the message musically, just as a general concept. What's the general concept? The general concept is a glorious death, like facing danger, facing something that you think is gonna bring you your ultimate end, and still going towards it. That is the concept. So how does that translate musically? So then I do the music, and if the music aligns with the concept, then the lyrics come automatically. Because music is like, I feel that a lot of people put a lot of weight on lyrics first, before the music, and then the music suffers because of the lyrics. I think it has to be the opposite.
It's like making soup. You have to make the broth first. The base.
Exactly. It's like if the music is already aligned with your message, then the lyrics that are gonna fit that music are already gonna be like what you need. So because I believe that's why most people like music, but not a lot of people like poetry, for example, because music is a vehicle that takes words where words alone cannot go. So that's why I place more importance on the music first.
Can I ask you guys, as just like a nerdy music major, so I could be totally wrong here, but I think this was written in E minor, if I'm not mistaken. Do you guys?
It's
D sharp, not E minor.
Right.
It's G sharp minor. D sharp minor.
Okay.
Very close. Very close.
Did you guys like when you were coming up with it? Do you guys talk about any of that stuff? Is that anything, or is it just
Dan wanted to make sure that he was doing it in like my singing like range per se, right? As well, because so
you had to go high,
right? Yeah. Like because no,
he didn't have to.
Yeah, I did.
I chose the key for him to not need to do that.
Right. So did you have to?
He did it out of pure pride. I chose the key so he wouldn't need to do it.
Did you have to push lower in your normal register so that you had the room to go higher in some of the points?
For me, like the higher was the challenge because, and more so, it's like how you sing. For you guys that are like vocalists that are out there, like how you project is going to determine kind of how the audience kind of hears how you sing. And I know it sounds weird because you can sing in a falsetto, you can sing in your head voice, chest voice, you can sing kind of where you're floating kind of in the middle, right? So for my singing, I've done very clean like singing songs where like I'm just operating. I'm come from a rhythm and blues family,
in that range.
So, right. So I'm there. I can do whatever I can do. My runs within that range, and that's fine. But when I do a lot of backward stuff, like if you heard White Pill, where I'm kind of like it's almost like I am singing, but I'm like almost yelling. Like it's more grit kind of with the with a lot of the singing. What this song challenged me to do, because remember, I'm not singing this as myself, right? So where I was at, like I've never sang like that. Like if you can go listen to even be it backwards, Fire from the Gods, any of the bands that I've been in the past, you will never hear me have sang like that, just in that general style.
It's
that was
fighting falsetto.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's like, because for example, when I did the Wow We Are Here, but when I was way up there. Generally, if I'm gonna be up there, I'm singing that like I'm cheating, right? Like this is what we call it, where I'm singing it basically in a falsetto. It's not loud at all. It's probably gonna be if you're looking at it like on an actual track, it's actually going to sound softer, right? Or it's the levels are gonna be lower than what the rest of the song were because I needed to go higher there.
Because I ran
exactly. But I was like, no. Like Dan said, out of pure pride, I was essentially like, I am going to belt this fucking line. And so that's what I did, right? So, but I never, and that's why I appreciate this song so much, because it challenged me there. Because if I went into it, I would have never thought I would be able to do that, but I did.
Yeah.
And I had a blast.
That's an obstacle.
Yep.
That's awesome. So nothing better than putting out something where you have an achievement at the end of it and you're like, yeah, I did that and it sounds good.
Let's go. Exactly.
So off rip, this song started charting top 10 on iTunes. Then you guys went top 5. Now you're number 1 downloaded on iTunes. Is this a first for both of you guys?
For iTunes, it might be a first. That's a good question. I can't remember so Backwards album charted. I can't remember where it charted on iTunes. It might have went number 1 on iTunes for the album. That's the album. Never have I charted on a single. On a single. That has never happened. We Backwards charted on both at the time iTunes and obviously Billboard, with number 2 Heat Seeker album on Billboard. But no, I have never charted definitely right now we are number 2 hard rock and metal. We entered into the top 5 in all of rock for Amazon.
That's awesome.
I've never done that for a single. I've never
there's a chart for heavy metal and hard rock, which is a smaller segment, and then there's rock that it's a bunch of stuff including
from the Beatles, like everybody.
Everybody. Exactly, like from Elvis Presley to Sepultura.
Yeah.
So it's much more encompassing, and it encompasses the hard rock and heavy metal charts as well. So it's a big deal. But yeah, for me, Friday Night Tights theme song had done it before, and I don't credit myself for it. It was the amazing support of the fellowship that got us there. It was awesome. It was fucking amazing. But this is giving me deja vu vibe.
And the song is for sale, and the goal for you guys is to chart high on the Billboard. So where are you guys at with that right now?
So it's hard to say. Billboard, that's part of the charm, right? With it, it's the anticipation, right? You never know until they come out.
There you go. There's Brando right there.
Wow, for top 52 for all
overall.
Wow, okay, that's even bigger. So that's including hip hop.
Damn.
Pop. So we're about to end the top 50 there. That's huge. So like Billboard is it's hard to gauge because it's not like they have an active chart of what you can follow, right?
It's not real time,
Yeah, they count the sales from Friday, which is when we dropped it, to the following Thursday, which is tomorrow. That'll be the first week, right? Mm-hmm. They released the charts for Tuesday. So going through the weekend, they get all the data or whatever, and they release the chart on Tuesday. So I was doing a lot of research on this. Like, charting is inevitable. I think it's safe to say we've already done that. Like where we're going to, because you get 25 spots, right? It's not that many. Like 25, getting top 10 or 25, that is, considering where our sales are at, we already know that we're for the most part there, right? Where it gets tricky and where I'm actually more stoked, because as more days went on, the more I realized we have an actual chance to top like this Billboard chart, right? And
get the
to put
plaque.
this into perspective, like, you get a plaque, by the way, when that happens, right?
Oh, I thought Dan called you black.
It works too.
You're black.
That's really not wrong.
We knew, Dan. We knew.
It's not wrong at all. But like, for example, in comparison to last week, the two that we've been competing with the most was also on the charts. It was some like song that was on that got number one was, and it's not going to be number one this week. It was on some movie that it released. I don't know. But like Thunderstruck and Enter Sandman, right? Those are the two that we've been competing with. And those were basically
you're competing with Enter Sandman.
I know, right? Right?
How cool is that, though?
But yeah, it's like you can't even be mad. It's like, dude, these are like, it's like we talked about this just on the show before. Like, Enter Sandman arguably is the most popular metal song of all timer. Right?
It's one of the first metal songs I ever heard.
It's Metallica, bro.
That's what I'm saying. Like
the mountain of metal.
If that's where we're gonna be competing with, I'm gonna take that every day of the week. But Thunderstruck and Enter Sandman were 2 and 3, right? And we're seeing where we're at on the Amazon charts and iTunes charts, and that's where we're basically floating between. We're floating between those spots. So I think with a big heavy push with today as well as tomorrow, it's a possibility, right? And also with our direct sales, that's why we set it up the way that we did, to where our sales, if you go to ripperverse.com/NORFRICA, you see the single like link that's directly to us. That also counts towards charting. So we have those.
The best place for them to buy if they're going to buy the single.
For the purposes of charting, either one of all three of them, hell,
everything counts.
Everything counts the same. So get them on all three platforms.
Purchases.
Yes, and that's what
streaming doesn't count.
Right. Amazon's like stupid easy. So if anybody has the Amazon one, if you can drop the Amazon link, you go in. You already buy too much shit off of Amazon anyway. Yeah. Just go click there and then click buy single. It's like that, and now you got it.
$1. That's
$1.
Yeah. There's Thunderstruck and Enter Sandman. So you can get ours for 30 cents less.
Ours is cheaper.
Yeah. So
I do have the link. The Saska's posted the link to your website. So that is pinned in the YouTube comment section. So guys, let's get a huge push for this song and go visit that link, and let's help these guys out, man.